Well, hello, everybody. It's good to see you all for another installment of our conversations from 6 feet. And we're delighted. I'm just really delighted to bring to you just a fantastic guy. I got to know him once I came to Bethel, and it's Heath Burchett. Heath, thanks for joining us. We're going to be getting to know you just a little bit. And before we get started, I want to kind of frame this conversation. Be sure to put Wednesday night on April 29th on your schedules. At least I think it's the 29th. Am I got that right? Is that the Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay. It's 7 o'clock for our Wednesday Night Live. Heath's going to be the key speaker for that. But Heath, welcome, and it's good to have you with us. Since some of our folks don't really know maybe a little bit, maybe all that much about you, why don't you tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Thank you, Pastor Tom. Appreciate you having me on here. And again, my name is Heath Burchett. I'm the director and founder of a group called Habit Missions, doing business as Watchmen of the Streets, which is probably the name that you've heard us by. I was a former staff member at Bethel. I feel like Bethel's still my home. And just very happy to be partnering with Bethel and just maintaining the friendships that I've had over the years. I was a youth and family pastor there. And really the cool thing is God used Bethel to really birth this nonprofit that we call Watchmen of the Streets through the youth group and going out and serving the homeless downtown Charlotte. And then even the men's group going into Black Mountain and Nashville on a men's retreat. We're also doing ministries in those areas too, even though we focus in the Charlotte area. And so we do homeless ministry throughout North Carolina, but again, in different cities and towns. But our primary focus where we have the most need is in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg area. And then this most recently, we've been involved in Iredell County and the Lake Norman all the way up through Statesville areas, just to go out and to meet people's needs where they are in unsheltered communities.
Yeah, and I know that our staff member, David Campbell, who is our facilities caretaker, has really been energized by his work with you, Heath, and speaks quite a bit about that Iredell County work that's going on, and I'm glad to see that it's expanding. It really is neat. One interesting thing that I learned about Heath, though, that you wouldn't know given his current work, is that he's somewhat of a germaphobe. And and for you to actually move, you might still be, I don't know, but if you do, you cover it up. You know, it's like an introvert in ministry. We have to cover that up in order to do well. And you just have really shown how God is the Lord of your life, even over that area. And so what a neat story you have. Thanks for sharing that just a little bit with us. And real quick, how's life at the Burchett household, since some of us know who you are and just what's going on now with all this COVID stuff?
Yeah, life's pretty good. We're staying safe and healthy for the most part over here. Of course, I have Israel upstairs right now. So he's on spring break, so he was doing the Zoom meetings and all of the schoolwork and stuff. And even though we want to keep that going, I've been a little slack on that right now. So he's upstairs playing, and I told him to be quiet and we'll play and do some things after. It does give me more time with him. And I do have him involved a little bit in the ministry from here. But no, of course, no way am I taking him out on the field to do anything. And then I think we're just trying to fight the allergy battle when we go outside. So if you hear me sniffing or coughing, not only is there COVID-19, but I mean there is a rain of pollen that many of us are experiencing allergies and runny noses and stuff. And my son and I, unfortunately, have pretty bad allergies. So, but yeah, life's over here. We're just trying to, make the best of it. And interestingly, kids handle things different ways. And so I know there's many children that are actually terrified with what's going on. And I guess it depends on what they see, what they hear, that sort of thing. Who knows? But Israel's doing really well with it. And I says, don't you miss going out? Don't you miss going out to bowling or putt or movies and eating in a restaurant? No, Daddy, I'm good at home. I'm good at home. And
That's great.
so he's praying for the virus to go away, and he blew one of those little flowers apart. I don't know what you call them, but he made a wish that all this would go away. But he's really a happy little boy, and so I'm really thankful for that he's doing well during this time.
And a lot of that happens because his parents were okay with it. And I think of the testimonies I've heard from parents that they've helped their children understand not so much, but really to be at peace with whatever's going on. And that's so important. So let's get to some important work that you're doing in the homeless. And I think the first question that I'd want to ask is what do you know? Like, what's going on out there in the homeless community? So tell us a little bit about that.
So right now, I'm seeing things that I've never seen throughout the years that we've been doing this. So we started the nonprofit in 2009, but actually, as far as Watchmen of the Streets and starting in Charlotte area and throughout North Carolina, helping the homeless, since 2013, I've never seen anything like this. I mean, we have more homeless people on the streets than ever, and that's mentioned in our documentary. And then with the homeless census last year, I think it was just over 2,000 people that were counted in the point in time census. And then this year, I can't remember the exact number, but I think it was like 3,569. And so we grew over 1,500 persons that are experiencing homelessness in 1 year. And so on top of the affordable housing crisis and mental illness and addiction and PTSD and just all of the things that come against and battle people that are fighting against homelessness or trying to get off the streets. This pandemic has just really made everything worse right now. For instance, I know there's some different hotels that were put up to help people either with COVID symptoms, overflow of shelters, and things like that. And I know there was at least 2 hotels or motels that have been used for that. And as far as I know, they're all full. And I know that the shelters aren't trying to take any more people in right now. In fact, they're trying to lessen their numbers to be responsible with the spread of the virus. And so therefore, there are tents after tents after tents after tents. And in 2013, I mean, it was literally a hidden community. Right now, you can go downtown, uptown Charlotte, and you would be amazed. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of tents everywhere. And I guess one of the interesting things, I don't want to say interesting, but I'm wondering how much this pandemic is actually going to affect those that experience homelessness now and in the next year. Because one of the guys that we had met, I was with Dia Harrell from Bethel, and we were talking with one of these guys the last time that we went out on one of our outings, and he was fighting back tears. And the interesting thing is that he and another guy actually had cars on the end of a cul-de-sac, and so you weren't absolutely sure if they were homeless or not. There was a fire, and then there was a lot of tents on both sides of where they were, and they were homeless. They just had cars. In fact, one of the guys, he said that his roommate had died and he needed a first and last month's rent or deposit. And he said, I don't have that kind of money. And he goes, there's no work for me right now. And he goes, it's really humbling. He goes, I've never been homeless in my life. And right now, this is just really, really hard. And I feel like that there's going to be more stories like that to come. And so right now, in the middle of the crisis, there is a huge need. And so without saying too much, I do think that people need to quarantine, stay at home, stay healthy. And at the same time, I really battle with that because I have a nonprofit and I see the suffering and the need. And the people that are downtown experiencing homelessness, I mean, they need to quarantine. They need to be have proper hygiene and fed and all of that to lessen the spread. And so it's just a big thing right now.
So that's a transition. I think that spells out that clearly there are some needs there. What do you think the main needs are, and how are you addressing them?
So just the other night, if you experienced the storm that everyone was talking about, I didn't. I don't think I got a lot of rain here, but the winds were really bad, and I actually heard where one of the tents had actually like blown into a creek with someone in it, and a lot of the tents were damaged, and I know that at least 6 people needed immediate tents after that storm. And tents aren't meant to really live in, and so they go bad really quick. And so with the amount of people on the streets, um, it's really hard to keep up. And so tangible items, first of all, people need to be sheltered. So if there's nowhere to go, there's no shelter, then we need tents and shelter so that they have a place to be inside. And then other than that, just sleeping bags, things for people to stay comfortable so that they will quarantine the best that they can. And then we delivered grocery bags full of food. We got some from the neighborhood care center, some from probably some folks at Bethel and different places. And then we purchased some food, and we were able to give those grocery bags because a lot of the meals are scarce. There's less meals offered now to the people on the streets, which is bad because you probably double to triple the amount of people on the streets. You have less meals. Unless someone's really being good about social distancing and the way that they're running their programs, they're going to have mass gatherings when people come to eat. And so you have to really be careful. And so we figured that by delivering grocery bags, it'll kind of keep people where they're at a little more. And then they won't have to get out and go to every single meal and, get exposed to those kinds of things. The other things that we've been doing is setting up hand sanitizer stations. And so I had there's a young kid and his father that made these stations out of soap pumps and plywood and everything. And we mounted them to the trees, and we've been refilling those stations for the camps and the people in them to use so they can just have a way to kind of kill germs and stay clean. And the good thing is that they've been using it and been running out. And one of the local distilleries in Charlotte has given us like a ton of, they started making hand sanitizer, and they've been giving us a ton of it to use and to refill for the people out there. And then one of the other things is we've been posting some signs up near some of these tent camps because the CDC recommends that right now during the pandemic, the worst thing that you can do is disperse people because it creates all kinds of confusion. It messes up the support systems that are in place for those on the streets when they're uprooted, and then it also can help spread the virus by breaking up these unsheltered communities, or these they're sheltered but they're unsheltered communities. And so we've been posting those up, hoping that people will kind of leave them alone until all of this is over, hopefully.
So you are doing collections of different things. You've got some partners out there that help supply. You are doing visits, right? I mean, you are taking people out to the community still.
Yes, we are. So, I was kind of skeptical at first. I'm thinking, well, everybody's quarantining at home, and I don't want to be irresponsible. And I'm thinking, I'm wrestling this myself. I'm thinking, I don't really want to go out, but then I can't stay at home. Like, I have a nonprofit. There's people in need. There's people that are suffering, and I just have this restlessness inside that says, you've got to go. You've got to help. This is your call. You just got to be careful. You've got to be healthy. And so, we started out taking, there was just 3 of us, as to our normal groups are anywhere from 12 to 30 people. But we wanted to be responsible and not have groups over 10. And I preferred less than that. But I'm telling you that 3 people just did not work good at all when we're trying to deliver and help 3 times as many people. And so our group last time grew a little more. I think we had about 7 people, 6 or 7. And we definitely need all the people that we can have, but we just want to keep the number definitely under 10. So and we just use precautions when we go out, but we definitely need the hands, and we need the hands and the feet of the people to go out and to be a part of this. And we do take the necessary precautions as we go out. I don't know if that might have been another question, but we we do have masks. We ran out of masks, and then God provided some more. We do wear gloves, and then a few of us actually wore hazmat suits. Everybody doesn't want to wear one of those; they're kind of expensive and hard to get. But we do wear protection. I'm getting some face shields in the next couple of days if anybody wants to wear face shields, and on top of that, we social distance. Okay. And we've had some really weird looks from some of our friends on the streets because they love us. They want to hug us, you know, and they understand. But then they laugh at us when we're, not with the mask, but if we're in those hazmat suits or whatever, they're just kind of laughing. And we have a good time of fellowship and pray. And we do what we've always done. It just looks differently, and it doesn't feel quite as intimate. But people know that we love them because we're actually out there and we're with them. And so I think that means a lot, and they really need hope during this time too. Especially they feel kind of like they've been a little bit forgotten. I think with a lot of the resources going away.
Just real quick, and this is an extra question, but just felt like I should ask it. How do you see the Lord at work in all this right now? Just not over the whole time, but just right now. How do you see the Lord at work?
Yeah. Well, he's at work a lot. I mean, in different areas of people's lives, just bringing families closer together, bringing people back to their faith, more people wanting human interaction. I mean, I hear all these things. And then from a ministry aspect, I just think that right now it's so chaotic out there for a lot of people with the amount of people that are on the streets and with a lack of resources, that we have an opportunity so that in the midst of a crisis, we're able to even show Jesus more and bring more hope to people, simply because we're one of the few that are out there. That are out there for them, that we still listen to them, and we're still bringing them the supplies that they need. They're really grateful and they're thankful for it. I also see a hunger in people wanting to you're stuck at home, and people are starting to think about what matters in life, or how can I help people? And so I'm seeing more of a hunger for missions. Because I wouldn't think that a lot of it's interesting because sometimes we have a lot of people, and then I have a lot of people that have helped us for a while, and they're all wanting to stay home because they don't want to risk their bringing something to their parents or whatever. They all have great reasons. We all do to stay at home, and yet I see people that have never volunteered before all of a sudden wanting to go out and volunteer and help people. So. I don't know. I know God's up to some big things through all this, and just hope that we continue to be the hands and feet, and that we can do something really big in the midst of this, through shelter and food and working with other nonprofits for meals and stuff. We've got some big plans. I'm not going to unpack them and unleash them all right now, but God's working some things out to where we're going to be able to help hundreds and hundreds of people in different ways during this time with different resources. And I'm just thankful to be used by Him and to offer that up for other people. Not just going out on the streets, but also there's other ways that you can serve too.
Well, Heath, thanks, and for being part of this. Blessings on your work that is ongoing. So glad to hear that there's that drive to keep going and be God sightings, which is a term we use at Bethel a lot. God sightings out there, and well done. We'll be praying for you, and everybody. We look forward to seeing you on Wednesday, the 29th at 7. We'll roll out the details of that Wednesday night live, but Heath's going to be the key, the guest, and our own Dia Harrell, who we mentioned, is going to moderate that question and answer time. I will include a viewing of the documentary. And again, just thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Have a blessed day, each of you. Bye-bye.